You are Locked On Wolves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
T-Wolves snap out of their 5-game funk with some dominating defense, while Anthony Edwards, he got the night off 108-83. That's your final versus Golden State, round 2, the rematch from last night. What's going on? Back in the lab, back at it. Another T-Wolves postcast, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which, thanks to you guys, is the #1 sports podcast network. Jack Borman live at the Target Center, Wolves expert, NBA expert. Give him a follow on X at grborman13, Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. And of course, please go follow our guy, Ben Beacon, host of the Locked On Timberwolves show each and every day as well. Lots to get into, Jack. Game MVP, I want to hand that out. Biggest X factor tonight, I want to ask you about that, and then what we'll be talking about tomorrow. But just off the top, Jack, obviously, Wolves coming in desperately trying to snap this 5-game funk. Michael Grady back in the house tonight. Just got to shout this out. I absolutely loved the Peacock broadcast with Grady and the crew. We even got some sideline kind of in-game reporting. Ant was chirping in the mic on the bench. I just love that broadcast top to bottom. But Golden State coming in tonight, Jack, hobbled. No Steph, no Draymond, no Kuminga, no Butler, obviously. 9 active players tonight. And in turn, I'm sure the Wolves saw that and said, hey, here's the perfect off night for Ant to rest that ankle up. Wise move, because the Wolves just steamrolled the Warriors tonight. Led by, again, some suffocating defense all night long. I'll let you get into the stats, the facts, Jack, but what's a win like this, even if it is against a banged-up team, what's a win like this do for the Wolves just to snap that losing skid?
Yeah, if nothing else, it helps them in the standings, right? And that's something that, I think is still something to continue to monitor, just with how stacked up everything is. When you look at the state of the Western Conference, between the 2 seed and the 7 seed, there's only 4 games that separate those 2 seeds. So every game is very important for the Timberwolves, regardless of who's taking the floor for the other team. And Timberwolves did what they're supposed to do. Beat a Warriors team, like you mentioned, without 6 guys that they normally rely upon. So it was good to, I just think, get some good energy back in the building, right? That's something that I think everybody here needed, right? It was an 8:30 tip local time here in downtown Minneapolis, and it was a blowout too, which doesn't help things. But there were still a lot of people that were here in the Target Center in the lower bowl, especially with a few minutes left to just watch the rest of the game and just kind of have fun with being together with members of the community, which I think is is just cool to see. And good to see most of this Timberwolves team play really well tonight, right? Getting extended run with Anthony Edwards out, giving that toe infection just tonight to I guess not make anything worse, right? They didn't need him, obviously. And so Rudy Gobert, Naz Reid, Julius Randle all got, kind of got back in a little bit of a groove for the most part tonight. And, Chris Finch played all 3 of those guys together, which we haven't seen a whole lot of to close the first half. They go on a 12-2 run, which was important to see. I asked him before the game, and he basically confirmed that, I basically asked him about, hey, even if Bones and Mike aren't playing great, Jaden played the 1 against Houston, has done a little bit more initiating in recent games. Do you think that can kind of free your mind up to maybe get some Jaden at the 1 plus Naz, Julius, Yohan lineups? He basically confirmed that they're going to try to get to that 3 big lineup more often with Naz playing the 3, but just didn't think that Golden State was necessarily the opponent to do that, because we've known that Naz has struggled at times against teams that have a little bit more off-ball action than other teams might, and so that's why we didn't see that tonight. But I'd anticipate that moving forward. And speaking with Naz, he and Bones, really good night for the 2 of them. Bench scoring was a huge positive after they only scored 7 bench points before garbage time last night. The bench had 44 tonight, but those 2 specifically had 32. They made 6 of their 11 threes, had 14 rebounds, 8 assists, and 6 stocks, which is just a really active night. Naz was a plus 30, Bones is a plus 19. And again, I just think this team just feels really dangerous when those 2 guys both have it going. And I think that the Timberwolves would do right to continue to try to get those guys ample minutes, right? I mean, Naz Bones and Jalen Clark all played 25 minutes in this game, which is always good when those guys are able to play that many minutes. And I think all guys that they can kind of get a little bit more of a rhythm. Jalen Clark, I think, is a rhythm guy defensively. Is something maybe not think too much about, but Bones and Nas especially. We'll get to Bones a little bit later, but just overall fun night here at Target Center. Bummer for the fans that wanted to see Steph Curry. He's still probably the second most popular player in the league behind LeBron, at least in terms of opposing fan bases. A lot of kids in Steph jerseys. It was a bummer that with this game getting pushed to a back-to-back that fans didn't get the chance to enjoy watching him play, myself included. But nonetheless, a fun night at Target Center, and good to see the Wolves end a 5-game losing skid.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Game MVP, Jack. My vote's for Rudy tonight. I just think, especially with Ant out, when you think about or you talk about, I guess, the anchor of a team, what they want to do well. Rudy Gobert was everything and more tonight, and I thought really set the tone kind of for the entire team, the entire game for that matter. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I thought that Rudy was excellent in this game, and a lot of these types of games where they're playing teams that are missing guys and they just need to get off to a good start. Rudy's a lot of times the catalyst for really strong play on both ends of the floor, and that's certainly what happened tonight. He made 3 of his first 4 free throws of the game. He scored the first 5 points of the game for the Timberwolves. Had a putback dunk, had a steal, got him in the open court early. We know that we can see Rudy's eyes light up in those situations, which is always fun. But overall stat line for Rudy tonight, 15 points, 17 rebounds, 3 stocks, was a plus 22 in his 35 minutes. And again, rebounded really, really well in this game. The Wolves had one bad spurt kind of at the start of the third quarter, where I think they gave up 4 offensive rebounds in a span of 2 minutes or something like that. But other than that, I thought when Rudy was on the floor, they, for the most part, did a really good job rebounding. Again, Wolves now 11-1 when Rudy collects at least 14 rebounds has kind of been the magic number. So that's always good to see. And then again, he's just an excellent anchor in the paint. I think we tend to see Rudy flash a little bit more, when he's scoring offensively, but I think defensively too. They just mucked it up for Warriors team that just didn't have a whole lot of offensive options, held them to 83 points. Obviously a great night there. Just from 2-point range, the Warriors shot 18 of 44, 41% when Rudy was on the floor. League average is 55%. So that just speaks to the kind of the deterrence and denial ability of Rudy Gobert, making things tough. And then at every level of 2-point range, significantly below league average for the Warriors. They're 60% at the rim. League average is 67. They were 4 of 17 in the floater range, 4 to 14 feet. League average is 44%, so almost half of that. And then long mid-range too, right? The guys just don't want to challenge Rudy at the rim, pull up for longer mid-range shots. 2 of 7 on those shots tonight, 29%. League average 41%. So those guys did a really good job, playing aggressively around Rudy, kind of funneling them to spots on the floor where Rudy was able to impact things really well. And a huge reason why the Timberwolves come away with a huge win, right? Holding the team to 83 points. Rudy was arguably, for my money, the biggest part of that.
3-man race right now for Defensive Player of the Year. Rudy Gobert sitting at third with plus 450. Victor at plus 250. Chet Holmgren, the odds-on favorite, at minus 125. Let's get into our biggest X factor from tonight here.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
It's funny. Last time it's been a couple shows. It's been a couple games since we had a biggest X factor. But last time we played this graphic, my opening line was Bones Highland? ? Feels like he's got to be in play again for the award tonight. Would you agree?
I would agree. We got back in the bone zone tonight, and it kind of came fast and furious to start this game out, right? I think, right away when you got on the floor, there were some one-on-one opportunities with Bones Highland and Buddy Hield. That was kind of funny. Those two guys were jawing. Bones drew free throws on Buddy, then gets to the free throw line and misses 2 free throws, and Buddy, goes to give him a high five after he misses the first one with those guys jawing, and then Bones comes back down the floor and a furious transition possession, has a crazy, stylish finished through traffic over Gary Payton II. And so he was talking junk with Gary Payton II. And so for those guys to, I think, just really get after it in the way that they did, I think really fueled Bones and gave him some extra juice in this game. And we know that Bones has been tremendous in all these games without Anthony Edwards, right? And especially pushing pace. I think he's been great in that area. He had 9 transition points by himself tonight. 9 of the 29 for the Timberwolves. They dominated on the break. They had 23 points off of 19 Warriors turnovers. Again, 29-17 on the break is an excellent number. They just got a lot of easy buckets off of stops, and Bones did a great job of grabbing rebounds and pushing, right? Bones had 7 rebounds and 9 fast break points are both awesome numbers for him. And again, he's been fantastic when Anthony Edwards has not played this season. I mean, Bones this season has played, what has he played? He's played 12 games without Anthony Edwards. He's averaging 8.5 points in those games compared to 5.9 with him. So nice scoring jump. But the biggest thing for me, I mean, he's shooting 37% from 3 when Ant does not play versus 31% when Ant does play. So I think it's just the extended run for Bones allows him to get in a better shooting rhythm. And that's the numbers have bared that out. I mean, but again, I mean, you just want to look more recently when Ant hasn't played. So what Bones have 17 tonight, made 6 of his 9 shots, 3 of his 4 threes. He had just 2 points in that Houston loss without Anthony Edwards. But the 3 games before that, he had 23 points in Milwaukee in that game that Ant nor Rudy played in. And then going back before Christmas, had 12 against the Grizzlies, 18 against Sacramento. So, he's had 17 in 3 of those 4 games. But the important note is he's had at least 5 assists in all of those games, all 5 of those games, if you include that Houston game. So his playmaking, has really been good, and he's taking care of the basketball in the extended run, having the ball in his hands more often. Again, only 1 turnover for Bones tonight. So I think, you'd hope that more often than not, he'd start to pop even when Ant does play and he's coming off the bench. But it's still nice to know that in the cases where you don't have Ant, that the Bones has been able to kind of fill that role as a dynamic on-ball scoring guard that can play off the ball and catch and shoot and knock down a ton of threes. So great game from Bones. And again, the question now from Bones becomes, can you continue to do this for 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row? Maybe not at this scale, obviously, but at least double-digit scoring, shooting 38% from 3, 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, a couple steals, getting out in transition, those types of things.
Not just a great game, but the Bone Thugs and Harmony little ditty that they play as well. Did they just start doing that, or has that been going on for a while? Did I miss out on that?
They haven't done it quite as often, but it's been going. It's been going.
That was this first time I've heard it. That was fantastic as well. Give me more Bones in my life as well. Plenty more deep dive from this one. Biggest turning point, what we'll be talking about tomorrow. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Monarch Money. You ever go check your bank account and go, where'd my money go? Dining out, online shopping, entertainment, so easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Not just another budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, your investments, your spending. It's all in one place, so you stop just managing your money and instead you start building some wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com. You're getting 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA. You're getting half off your entire first year. This episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, without a doubt, most fun I have playing daily fantasy. You can win up to 25 times your money this NBA season. Why I love it. So easy to play. All you got to do, you select 2 or more players. You pick more or less on their projected stats. Could be points, rebounds, assists, 3-pointers, you name it, they got it. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Right now, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA. You're getting a first deposit match up to $100. All right, Jack, before we get into what we'll be talking about tomorrow, just some rapid fire quick hitters, starting with more Johan Berenger out there tonight. Saw him out there with Bones Highland tonight, too, which I thought was kind of noteworthy. And Mike Conley had the wrist taped up as well. Quick thoughts on those two topics.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun that Chris Finch, at least tried to get Johan a few minutes in that third quarter for him to run with Bones Highland and Naz Reid and just kind of more up-tempo types of style of play, if you will. And, it didn't finish as well around the rim as we're accustomed to seeing from him. He only made 3 of his 8 shots, missed a couple bunnies at the rim, but still, I think good to get him some minutes with those guys. And I do think that those two are really good pairs for him, just as, guys that can really take advantage of his athleticism, but also, 2 good pick and roll partners for him, right? I think Naz has been a guy that's looked for Rudy really well, and his 2-man pairing with Rudy has been fantastic during their time together as teammates. And so I think with Bones is a guy that provides a little bit more off the dribble juice and self-creation, can I think take the defense away from the roll guy quite a bit. And you saw that the Warriors blitzed Bones Highland in those minutes, and I thought did a good job of making him more uncomfortable in the second half of this game. And so that was just an element. I thought that they could have had some kind of V passing that we talked about with Slow-Mo, right, where they'd pass it to Slow-Mo on the wing, and then he'd enter it into Rudy a couple years ago. I think that's something that they could probably get to in some of those minutes, but again, it's just small potatoes here. Nonetheless, good to see him playing. You mentioned Mike Conley. I noticed right away that Mike had his left wrist taped up at the start of this game and missed 2 threes in his first kind of stint with the starters, and then took that wrist tape off at the under 7 media timeout and came back out and then played the rest of the game without having that wrist tape. So, Mike has had a wrist injury that I believe will require surgery, but the recovery time is just too extensive for him for it really to be worth his while he's still playing. And I believe that happened in the playoffs 2 years ago. So, I mean, it's something that he's been dealing with. Obviously, it wasn't an issue last year. But again, I mean, anybody that's had any type of ailment that extends for a long period of time knows that those kind of things flare up and come and go. So I don't know how much that's been bothering him, but I thought that was noteworthy. Still think that even despite that, one, if it is bothering him, why is he playing as many minutes as he is? That's also pretty indicative, I think, of the kind of situation with Rob Dillingham, that he's still not playing despite that. So that was noteworthy. And then the last big one for me, I think Dante and Jaden both had really nice second halves, and I think that was really important after the way that they struggled in the first half. They had 4 points on 1 of 5 shooting. They did have 7 assists combined in the first half, but in the second half, they were the 2 leading scorers for the Timberwolves. Dante had 15 points, made 5 of his 8 threes. Jaden had 10 points, made a couple of threes, got to the free throw line, did a good job staying aggressive, especially on second chance opportunities. And then when Bones or Jalen Clark or whomever it was able to get to the baseline on the drive, he did a great job making plays on the second side. So it was nice to see those 2 guys play really well, and part of really a well-balanced Timberwolves scoring attack. They had 6 different guys in double figures compared to 5 for the Warriors, and they had 4 in double figures in the first half, and Gold State didn't have any. So I think it was nice to see everybody step up on both ends of the floor. I thought, too, they were just playing with more desperation defensively without Anthony Edwards. And I think sometimes it takes a key player being out to, I think, raise the kind of the compete level for everyone else. And I think you'd hope that wouldn't be the case, that it would just be high from the start, regardless of who's in, who's out. But I guess that's human nature sometimes.
This is what you'll be talking about.
60 seconds left here, Jack. 5 games left between now and the trade deadline. Got some momentum tonight after a nice little explosion. Do they use it, though, and make a splash, or do they keep kind of sputtering game to game as we've seen?
So, sorry if you could hear this Peacock post-game show is happening right down in front of me, and Isaiah Thomas was yelling on Detroit basketball. But yeah, I mean, talking about the trade deadline, I mean, the trade deadline is coming up here Thursday, February 5th, 2 p.m. It's next Thursday. Timberwolves have 5 games between now and then. They're at Dallas, and then they come back home to Target Center for a 1-game homestand against Oklahoma City on the second night of a back-to-back. And then they have 2 games in Memphis and a game at Toronto. So you'd think that at absolute worst, they should go 3-2 in these games. And I think they have a very good opportunity to go 4-1. I don't think you can necessarily sleep on Toronto. That's a team that's been really successful. Had a lot of different guys step up for them offensively. They've been a good defensive team for most of the season. So, but again, I think this is an opportunity, right? You get some good energy. Role players get in a little bit more of a rhythm, getting more run in this game. I think again, it's just comes down to the Timberwolves. Do they want to kind of sprint through the finish line of the trade deadline, or do they want to kind of limp into it and maybe feel a little bit too reliant on reinforcements coming from potentially outside the current locker room? So I think it's a good opportunity for the Timberwolves playing against teams that are very beatable but still competitive, and we'll see what happens. But I think for the Wolves, you can't just have this one game be a blip. You got to continue this defensive intensity and make it happen against a Dallas team that struggled offensively, an Oklahoma City team that struggled offensively, and then we know what Memphis is lacking with all their guys that have been in and out of the lineup. So
great stuff per usual, man. T-Wolves snapped that nasty 5-game skid tonight without the help of Ant-Man. He got to rest that ankle up. 108-83, that's your final versus Golden State. 28-19 now on the year. Much love to all you guys, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys come in the chat with us from game to game as well. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and go follow Jack at JaredMormon13. We're back Wednesday at Dallas, 7:30 tip. Until then, appreciate all you guys. We'll talk to you next time. Signing out.